Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to see so many of you here. I'm Philippe, CEO of CrowdSec, and I did want to talk with you about, our great community and where we're heading and how we would like to involve you in this. So thank you for joining. A few of you are amiss, and Klaus is to try to connect. He has a technical issue, but no worries, we'll be fine. And let's go for this ride. So I wanted to start this little conversation. Hi, Laurent, Stéphane, and everyone. I want to start this little conversation with a simple fact, actually. Cybersecurity is not a complicated problem, right? Cybersecurity, a complicated problem, for example, is gravity. The one I have on screen is a complicated problem, but it could be solved by one person. This is a definition of a complicated problem. A complicated problem can be solved by one person. Here, probably Einstein found the solution alone, if we say that his wife didn't partake in this, which is unlikely. The agenda will go into many details about the community, what we do, how we do it, Karl. Don't worry, ride with us. No, cybersecurity is a complex problem, right? This is the difference between complex and complicated. A complex problem cannot be solved by one person alone. Say you want to send a rocket to space, you cannot possibly do it from your backyard alone. This is what a complex problem is. It requires some people to collaborate together. And this is what we're up to, right? Because ever since the 90s, everyone has been dealing with cybersecurity as if it was a complicated problem. Like, we try to outpower using this Captain America syndrome. We wanted to outpower the bad guys, using more money, more bigger teams and everything. And it actually failed, as we saw. We try outsmarting them by renaming antivirus EDR or having an AI spell its own name or having deception strategy. It failed as well. So here at CrowdSec, all together, we are trying a new approach. We are trying to outnumber them. We are trying to get more people on stage because we are the good guys and we outnumber the bad guys by a 1 to 1,000 factor. This is a demography we're trying to pull, right? This is the way you deal with a complex problem, by collaboration. And this is where we think the castle strategy, the fact that we have a firewall that is protecting everything, is over. It's like it's buried. It's dead and buried. It's back. It's belonging to the 80s, actually. So we have resources, and they are scattered in many different places. And what we want to do all together is being able to assess whether we can trust each other when we connect together. And the only way of doing this is to create a giant reputation database. And this is what we're up to all together. So how does CrowdSec work? I'm not going to make it long for you because you guys most likely know already how it works. But this is a massively participative IDPS, intrusion detection and protection system. What it is like, yeah, it's good morning. You're right. It's 7 a.m. in Argentina, Bienzo. So it's about detection. So you have logs, okay? Logs, signals coming from all around the world, all around the places, like CloudTrace, like Journald, like SCIM, like Kafka, like ALKey, whatever is your log source. So what we provide at CrowdSec is an open source free component that is an IDS. The IDS is the intrusion detection system. So you can apply scenarios that can be yours if you define some, ours if you want, or the community one, because community already contributed a lot of scenarios, and thank you for that. And then once you found something of interest, you can decide to block it in your IPS. The behavior that you found is nefarious. You want to block it in your IPS, like, for example, the log4j thing, right? You can block it with any component. We have like around 20 IPSs so far. Some for reverse proxies, some for firewalls, some for load balancers. You can send a captcha if you're working on an HTTP layer. You can kick your own script if you feel like, telling the SecOps desk that there's a problem, sending an email, or just adding a rule in any firewall or any script you want. Or you can use a multi-factor authentication. It's up to you. You made it the way you want, where you want. And that's why the bouncer and the agent, the IDS and the IPS, are not the same component. We wanted them to be separated so that you can have as much flexibility as you want in the way you organize your defenses. And then we have the interesting part, the community part. And this is where we make a difference here. Once you have this information of a bad IP, we are very interested to share it all together. And why that? It's because you send it to us, and at CrowdSec, we are doing the curation. Okay, we have a curation engine that we call the consensus engine that will check if this signal is not a false positive or is not a poisoning attempt. Those are a bit tricky concept to explain in a short time, but don't hesitate to ask questions around those. We can explain you more around how we do that. And yes, at some point, the consensus engine will also be open source. No worries about that. We're not trying to keep it a secret source. It's just we are progressing extremely fast on that front, and open sourcing it right now would be slowing us down a bit, right? So once we found this IP and curated it, we know this is dangerous. And your IPS then get fed with both behavior, as seen in your logs, and reputation, as seen at our network scale. And this is where we make a difference, because we feed our IPSs with both. So the IPS and the IDS can deal with a lot of things. Pretty much anything spits logs nowadays. And if it spits logs, it can be parsed. And if it can be parsed, we can find behavior. So there are even people trying to use CrowdSec in very different contexts, like, for example, if, planes, airplanes, to see if there are problems. But here, let's focus on server and services. There are layer 7 DDoS that you can deal with. We have a great article on our blog about that. Ransomware, because people are trying to do like lateral moves, credential brute force, credit card brute stuffing, cross-site scripting, port scan, web scan, you name it. Both scalping, both scrapping, very important nefarious things lately. And please send links in the chat for the layer 7 DDoS mitigation with Cloudflare. It's really a brilliant one, super efficient. You can deal with pretty much any threat you can detect, and we are publishing scenarios on a daily basis. But make no mistake, what we're up to all together as a team is a resource war. What we want to do is to ban all those IPs that are either borrowed, stolen, or rented on the darknet by cybercriminals to hide their activities, right? So by dealing with them one by one, by burning them one by one, day in, day out, our community is doing a greater good, is helping everyone having each other's back over the internet. We are peeling the onion, each and every IP, right? And this is where we make a difference. The bigger the network, the merrier, the more it is efficient. And this is what we are. We are a crowdsourced cyber intelligence, right? What we are is better than a CTI, because a CTI is what? 100, 200 servers, 1,000 servers spread across one or two clouds, simulating a service that is potentially vulnerable, right? What we are doing all together as a community is harnessing the power of thousands, tens of thousands of machines at the world scale. We don't have any limit in terms of cloud, geos, or IP addresses. We are scattered all across the place. And we are running real services across real type of environments. So this makes it better all across the board. And on top of that, we are not just providing you with IOCs, right? We're providing you with a way of leveraging them right away. If we send you an IP, your IPS is already blocking it right away. You are working for the greater good here. So what is a community for us? It's the centerpiece of all our thinking day in and day out in CrowdSec, right? So you might want to think like, what is our business model? How do we make money on ourselves? It's irrelevant for now. It's not even a concern. There are investors sending money at us every day if we want. We have people knocking at the door every other day. We are not here to make money in the short term. The day we have a gold mine, we'll find ways to make like big corporations pay for not participating into this effort, but still benefiting from it, right? So by sharing the signals, you get everything for free, and you will forever get this whole thing for free. The one that will be paying are the ones that are not partaking into the effort, but that still want to protect themselves. So what is the community again? It's the cornerstone of everyday thinking in our company. There's no doubt around that. You are the most important people of this whole project, because by sharing those signals, you strengthen the consensus, you strengthen the network effect, you strengthen everyone protection all across the world. And this is the only way for us to protect ourselves on a large scale. Yeah, well, this free forever, You can quote me on that one anytime. I've been publishing it on Reddit. I'm telling you now, I've been recording on podcasts on YouTube. This is not going to change. This is an MIT license, my friend. So there's no way we can screw you on that. And it's not in our best interest to do so, because the interest of the company is that you use the product for free, and the largest number does. The way we make money is totally different. It's like if you're a bank, for example, and you don't want to share signals, or you're not at liberty of doing so, you can pay your way in. You can pay for services, you can pay for deployment and stuff like that. But for you guys, for everyone in the community, it's going to be free forever. It's been published, and I will not, deny this later on. It's too public anyway for that to happen. But it's not in our own interest anyway. So on this, I would like to introduce Klaus Agnoletti, our head of community, and he will be the one taking over the conversation now, and I'll be staying around, to discuss with you guys in the chat. Thank you for listening to me. Klaus, you may want to take over the presentation to have a bit of liberty, maybe?
No, I was thinking that you should forward whenever I was ready for it.
Okay, as you want. So you want me to push the slide, or you want to do it yourself?
Yeah. No, do it yourself. Sorry.
Okay.
Next slide.
Next slide, go.
Yeah. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Klaus. I'm head of community at CrowdSec. I've been 17 years in InfoSec, and I've had 25 years of Linux open source experience, and I've been engaged with the community since like forever. And now I'm here. That's basically what you need to know for now. Next. The next slide. Well, Philippe pretty much said it all, so I don't want to say too much other than just repeat what he said. That the community is important for us, both in terms of sharing signals and all that, but also to build a strong community around CrowdSec so that we have people that help us in many ways, and I'll be talking about that today. Next. Yeah. First, I want to tell you a little bit about the technology that we have and the platform that it covers right now. Right now, we cover Linux, the various distributions like Debian, Ubuntu, Red Hat, Fedora, CentOS, and Amazon Linux too. We also cover Arch Linux because a member of the community contributed that to us. We also cover FreeBSD and Docker and Kubernetes and OpenWRT, and next quarter we'll be covering OpenSense and Windows, and we hope Home Assistant as well, but we'll see. Next. In terms of data sources, we cover we can read data from files from journald, from syslog from AWS CloudTrail, and in a little while, or the next release that will come later this week, we'll be covering Docker logs, and sometimes in Q1 we will be covering Azure as a data source as well. Next, please. In terms of bounces, as Philippe said, that is the software that modifies or controls the traffic, and we have a lot of those, like IP tables and Nginx and Cloudflare and all that. And in a little while, or next quarter or so, we'll have a bouncer for Shopify, for Node.js, for Fastly, and for AWS Lambda. And one of the latest one we just released is for the Magento CMS for e-commerce. In terms of Caddy and Cloud firewalls in AWS and GCP and traffic, we had the community contributing those, and that's extremely cool, I think. Next. In terms of parsers, the software that's parsing our logs, we have 31 and counting, Apache, Docker, and a lot of other things like mod security. Next. In terms of scenarios, these are the actual attack scenarios that we are detecting. We have, like as I said in the title, we have 41, and we provide. We have some that detect brute force and malware detection, and layer 7 DDoS, as Philippe mentioned. This week we released a scenario for detecting the new Log4j exploitation of the Log4j vulnerability. And I'll go into details with that on the next slide. Because in fact, that is a perfect example of what Philippe just said, that we are using the crowd and being together we are stronger. Because this Friday the log4j vulnerability, or details about the vulnerability was released, and on the same day we released a scenario on that. And then over the weekend, a few IPs started coming in and being reported by this. And then on, as you can see on the peak on the graph, that was around midnight on yesterday. It just skyrocketed, and now we have like 1,400 malevolent IPs reported on that scenario that we know for sure is doing bad things on the log4j vulnerability. So that's really cool. That to see that what we want to do with the community, that actually works as well. Next. And yes, this is basically just an overview of CrowdSec, but next, in reality, all we want to say is this: that we want you to contribute to the community, to CrowdSec, and basically everyone can contribute. You don't have to have any particular programming skills or anything. For instance, you can contribute articles, videos. You can help the user with user support. You can help us write documentation, proofread documentation, submit bug reports, submit issues, and submit code, of course. I'll go into details with that in a little while. In terms of marketing, we are doing what's called content marketing, and that means that we write stuff or produce content that provides value to the end user. We focus directly on the end user, like the tech-savvy end users, like most of you probably are. And to satisfy those, we want to help them, inspire them by writing technical articles and stuff like that. And you could do the same in terms of writing articles on new features, how you're using CrowdSec, or you can do a video on YouTube and share it, and we'll of course reshare it. For instance, you could create a Docker container that had Nginx and mod security as well as the Nginx bouncer, and tell how you're using this. I mean, that's just an example, but it's something that you could do, or anybody else could do, without even knowing anything about programming, because that's not what it's about. Yeah, as I said, just an example. It could be anything. In terms of user support, it's really important that new users, and of course also existing users, can be helped whenever they have problems. So in order to facilitate that, we have two tracks. One track is a documentation, and the documentation side is available in GitHub. Next. Yep. If you see any errors or anything in that, or you want to add something, please you can do a pull request, or you can create an issue about it. And the other track, as I said before, is a discourse or community forum where people can ask questions, and it is great if you want to help out and hang out in there and help users as they post and have problems. Hang on a second. The Discourse is available at discourse.crowdsec.net. Bug reports. Suggesting new features, issues, and submitting bug report. That's also a great help. If you see something that doesn't work, or something that should have worked, or you have a good idea for something that we should do, please create an issue, because that really helps us to get in the right direction, the direction that users want us, or want the project to move. And finally, next, if you're a developer, great, and everyone's all about, even better. CrowdSec is primarily written in Go. It's fast, it's easy to read, and it's very popular. I mean, every part of the component we accept contributions for that, or the project accept contributions for that. So yeah, get to our GitHub, submit a pull request, whatever. But what you could do, if you know about programming and not about Go, and you want to help us anyway, you can, for instance, package the CrowdSec agent to a Linux-based NAS like Synology and QNAP and all that. They all have good SDKs that's easy to use. Or you can help to create an add-on or plugin for Unraid that's Docker-based. That's also an opportunity or a possibility. Next. Or you could create a package for IPFire that's a Linux-based firewall. You could help the OpenBSD project creating their port of CrowdSec. They've already started, and if you want to help them out, please get in touch with me. Then I'll facilitate some contact. You can create a port for NetBSD, for OpenSUSE, for Gentoo Linux, or for Linux Mint. Or there is you could create a package for a tool called Cloud Run, which is basically a graphical administration interface for your VPS, where you can add apps that are actually Docker containers. That is well documented, and it's easy to create packages. And in terms of programming language, you need to know about PHP or TypeScript to do that. Yeah. In terms of data sources, it could be cool to have things like Elastic or Splunk or Azure, as we're working on, if you want to help with that. Google Cloud, Kafka, like the Varnish cache could also be a great idea to have. We are probably working on that, but contributions are always welcome. In terms of MISP is for thread sharing, and we really want to share publicly available CTI to all our users in CrowdSec, because in that way all the CTI can get to use and get out there and get alive. And in order for that to work, we need some integration with MISP. So if you know about MISP or knows or wants to help, not only programming, but if you know about using MISP and want to help us get in that direction, please get in touch, because we could really need the help of the project. Yes, and then the last slide with the logos, that is in terms of bouncers. We could it would be great if we had a bouncer for a server called OpenResi, which is basically NDNX, but a special fork of NDNX that's being used in NDNX Proxy Manager, and it would be great to be able to support that. It would be cool with a bouncer for Apache Web Server that is written in C. So if you're good at C programming, that would be a good project. Or PHP applications like Joomla, like Drupal, like PrestaShop, or PHP frameworks like Laravel, Symfony, or other web frameworks based on other languages, or whatever. Basically, these are just inspirations. Whatever you're using that we're missing, and you can help out with producing that, then it's great, and we can certainly use that contribution. The last but not at least, actually, is one of the most important ways that you can contribute is via the ambassador program. To us, the ambassador has a special status. That is to us, that is the key to success, because the thing with ambassadors is that they can work locally, and they can work the local community more effective than we can do like on a global scale. Because for some reason, and you probably know why, it has a much better impact when it's a real person that you already know who is talking to you about CrowdSec. For instance, some of you are here because you know me, because you somewhat respect me, and I've told you about this webinar, and said that you could participate if you wanted to. And just because you know me, then there is a higher degree or a higher it's more likely that you are joining, and here you are. So that's cool. Basically, so the idea is to simplifying it, saying this is basically what we want to scale. The idea that somebody in the community knows their peers, and their peers has a better possibility of getting CrowdSec out there. So we have created this ambassador program, which is basically a formal partnership between you and CrowdSec. And the objective is to drive adoption in a local community, and how you do it, that's basically up to you. But But it's all about raise the product and brand awareness, build the community around CrowdSec, and as I said, drive adoption, engagement, and contribution locally. But as I said, how you do it, that's up to you. But we'll support you in any way you can. And one way to do it is to, if you're an independent consultant, you can even make money by implementing CrowdSec at customers, and that's by design. That's how we want it to be. So if you're interested, we have an ambassador site at crowdsec.net/ambassadors. And on that, you can read more about it, all the details, and you can even sign up. So if you do that, we'll be in touch. Things that you could do is like arrange or participate in local meetups. You can do talks, you can do podcasts, articles, videos, use your network to influence local decision makers or influencers and stuff like that. Yeah, next. This is my email, this is Discourse, this is the GitHub. And then I'll, then the next part of the webinar is the interview with Juan. So could you join, Juan?
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Excellent.
So you're in Argentina?
Yes, I'm in Argentina, Buenos Aires to be exact. And I've been here, well, even though I've traveled a fair bit for InfoSec reasons, I spent my whole life here. I've been involved in cybersecurity since 1995, approximately, from the BBS era. And I work mostly in government and in open source.
Yeah, and you have a pretty strong network in Argentina, in Buenos Aires in particular, I guess.
Well, the situation is in Argentina is really interesting regarding the information security community. As you know, many professionals from Argentina travel and work abroad a lot. So it's always interesting to be involved at this level in the global information security industry. So yes, I'm really happy to be in Argentina and start from here, especially having the opportunity of talking about CrowdSec to my fellow members in the community.
Yeah. Well, could you tell us how you discovered CrowdSec? And
well, that's an interesting question.
About it.
Well, actually, it's fun because I was a developer for Fail2Ban for many years, and the founder of that project, Cyril Shakir, sent me an email saying, "Hey, so this project CrowdSec sounds interesting. I don't have much time now, but I think that they could use your support." And I was definitely interested. So then that's how I became the first ambassador, I guess, being there at the good moment, at the specific moment. And now I'm really happy contributing back to it, not only as an ambassador, but as a developer. A couple of days ago, I released a very simple Ansible role that allows to configure CrowdSec, install the agents, enroll a machine into the console, etc. So I'm really happy about it. I'm looking forward to opening up its usage and its good features to the rest of the community, especially in South America.
So what is it about CrowdSec that you liked, and what motivated you to put so much energy into it?
Well, that's a really simple question. Philippe talked about it in the first slide. Community, we build security by working together, and that's truth. We know that. We've known that for a long time, and that's why there are many wonderful things in open source. There's wonderful things that are created collaboratively. And CrowdSec is really cool, first because it implements a lot of new technology and it's really scalable. Second, because so far it's been really solid. I'm not a salesman, so I don't lie to people or embellish things. And I can say that CrowdSec so far has been really, really useful and good for me and everyone I've discussed it with. So as long as that keeps going, I'll keep supporting it. And I know that that's going to be the case because I know the members of the team, and that makes me really happy. So it's that was an easy question, Klaus.
Yeah, so I guess that is sort of what made you become an ambassador to help spread it, or what?
That's the only reason. I love the project and I wanted to collaborate somehow. I could have just ended up being a developer on the outside, a user, write articles about it, but I wanted to become involved, and I appreciate the opportunity of being one of the first ones. So if any other people is interested in becoming an ambassador, um, you need just to play your strengths. In my case, I've been an article writer for a long time. I published a number of things in 2600 magazine and stuff. Books, I reviewed lots of technical books. I write a lot of blogs, postings, etc. So, and I play music. So, how can someone like me participate? Well, it's simple. Um, I like talking about CrowdSec in every possibility I have. Um, and you can just play your strengths always. For instance, I discussed that I'm a musician because I'm making a podcast, and one of the different topics will be technology, specifically information security, music, and literature, because that's myself, that's who I am. So discussing CrowdSec in the middle of the podcast is extremely easy. That's one example. I can develop applications, I can develop roles, I can discuss with the rest of the community because I work in government and I've been involved with the information security at a government level for well, long time. I think from 1996. I was underage at that time. Anyway, I know lots of people in the information security and in the IT communities in government, and because in Argentina we don't have many possibilities for uh, private sector money. Our economy is complicated, etc. Being able to take advantage of CrowdSec in government makes total sense. So I've been trying to push for it, and already some organizations are using it, and that's really good. So whatever you want to do as an ambassador, you need to play your strengths, build your own networks, etc., and make sure that people can contact you and get to know you, so they can trust having an argument with you, and knowing that you will send that information upwards. Because being an ambassador is not only pushing a product or a service or whatever, but it also gives someone the possibility to discuss with the people that build it. So I think that's one of the main powerful reasons of being an ambassador, influencing or driving the development from a different perspective that is detached from the corporate view. And that's really good. And so far, the company has allowed me to do that, and hopefully that will continue. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the advice that you're giving, that you should play your strength, that is a really good advice, because out of the ambassadors we have now, they are all pretty different, but they're all doing exactly what Juanso is saying, that playing what they're good at and doing that. Juanso, could you list three things you've already done as an ambassador, and three things or more that you plan to do?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think I already mentioned them. Writing an Ansible role to allow for easy deployment. I actually implemented that role on one of my cloud clusters, and I think it took me 30 seconds to enroll like 30 machines in just one go, and then accept them on the console and start seeing what was happening and implementing scenarios, etc. That was really, really good. Also, well, the podcast will be released soon. I'm writing every episode, so I don't need to do it for an entire year. I need to just write the scripts, sit down and produce it. So that will be number two. And I think networking and writing articles is the best thing you can do today. If you're a developer, develop. If you're a system administrator, implement it and let us know. If you're an influencer, well, let me know what you want to do. We can share. As an ambassador, you can share. You can join an influencer and talk about why CrowdSec is good, or what their business model is, or whatever. But as usual, play your strengths. I don't think that we need to itemize every single action that we take. I think the central idea is that you need your community to know that you can be reached, that you can provide feedback, and first of all, that you can help, and that's it. And so far, CrowdSec is also extremely easy to work with. So it's an easy job, if you want to use the word job. It's a good hobby for me. I like it. I like it very much.
Yeah. How the last question I have is how do you see the future of CrowdSec?
How I see it? Oh,
Yeah.
well. In the immediate future, I'm really looking forward to what is coming. I think Philippe will probably mention some of those things. I think he mentioned someone in the chat already. But I know there are some features that are coming that I'm really excited about. But anything that allows easier access to the data, it's always well seen. So what I'm looking forward is that it grows enough to provide a noticeable change in the security landscape, because the situation today, it's terrible. There are countries discussing having a separate internet or demanding citizen ID to access internet and things like that. And I need that we need to focus on security and how it's only built collaboratively before that happens, because that would be terrible for work research and health and everything. We still need to have an open internet and a safer internet. And although we cannot, under any circumstance, guarantee absolute security, I think CrowdSec will be part of that discussion and that solution. Maybe it's too much to ask, but I can dream. We've already seen some really good dreams come true, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we're just getting started.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time, or thank you for the interview, Wanto.
A pleasure. If there's anyone that wants to reach out to me, just mail me or whatever. I'm available anywhere. Bye bye.
Yeah, sorry. I just said I want to say that if you want to get in touch with Wanto, then mail me and I'll put you guys in touch.
Yeah, a few announcements also just before we go for the Q&A, and I'll take Joe's question first. It's about the fact that we will soon be providing third-party lists. Like, for example, without spoiling too much, I can say that Ledger, the famous cryptocurrency cold wallet company, is willing to share the IOCs and stuff they have like this with us. And this will be for us a good opportunity to share it again with you guys, right? So since they will be giving it for free, we will also give it for free to you, right? So, and there are a lot of other people that are actually providing IOCs, and we will actually add them to the back office, and you will be able to subscribe to those lists and rank them, saying, okay, they were good, they were not so good, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, I would like to start with the question of Joe. Joe is having a very interesting question. It's about our business model and what do we sell, what do we share. So it's important that we go through this one. So Joe, we will sell TI to third parties. Yes. So as long as you're partaking, meaning you're sharing signals back of people that attacked you, you will get in return all the signals that is concerning your scenarios as well for free, right? It's part of the package. We will put some limits in the sense that we won't want people to be able to pull all the database for free and reinject them in their own CTI and be competitors of ours, right? That would not be fair, specifically if they are not really partaking seriously. The second thing is we will have third-party lists that would be premium, for example, and that we will resell on the behalf of others. So, for example, there is a company called b4.ai. We appreciate them. They have a domain list that is potentially rogue domains. We will potentially offer the premium in our back office, and you will be able to subscribe to it. If you do so, you will have to pay, and we will pay also those guys. The premium feature we will be selling is mainly like, am I under attack, me and not the others? Am I attacking the others, meaning are my public IPs visible in the consensus of CrowdSec, meaning something is fishy at my place, right? We will have also a way of plugging things like, proxy lists that we are harvesting and that will be also integrated into the premium. You will be able to mix match stuff like, I don't want Tor exit nodes, I don't want VPN nodes, I don't want IP from, I don't know, Afghanistan, and I don't want like a certain number of proxy or certain pests, like for example, scalping bots or harvesting bots. We will also integrate those potentially. Yes, you will get access in raw API way to our consensus data. It's very soon to come. It's not there yet. It's not entirely stabilized, but it will be very soon available. Expect it very early this next year. We also think about creating a plugin, for Brave and Chrome, where you can highlight an IP and it will automatically query our data lake and will tell you how much we know about this IP, right? So where we think to put the limits is in terms of number of queries per day. If you're having a personal use or regular or normal use, we will be talking about hundreds of queries, eventually thousands of queries, but that would be enough to cover your needs. If you start like hammering our servers to get all the database, that's not really the way we want it to work, and it would not probably be a fair usage. Is there any other question that we should take, Gabor? Yeah, there will be absolutely. There will be a Windows agent soon released. This agent will be able to run on Windows. The goal for us is to be able to interface with the Windows Log Central and detect scenarios of mainly ransomware in the short term, like, triggering a lot of either scans or AD requests, Active Directory requests, or SMB requests, CSC requests, or ciphering a lot of files at once, or deleting a lot of files at once. Those will be scenarios that we want to ship with the Windows port of the agent. The agent as such is ported already. What we're creating now is the scenarios. As well, we have the agent ready for the e-commerce environments, and we will be releasing soon scenarios around bot scrapping, bot scalping, and bot harvesting.
I think I can take that easily because
Yes.
it says one. So, how did I sell the idea of using CrowdSec to my organization? There's also another question about that, mentioning specifically the government industry. And well, that was simple because most of government already uses fail to ban. So hey, Juan, so you used to develop some of these, right? And what you're doing with CrowdSec? So well, I'm doing this. Oh, maybe we can use it. Yes, of course, and that's how I convinced them. Now, seriously, that was easy because fail to ban was already used. But for I'm more on topic answer. There's of the strengths of the cloud. But thing is, we can never guarantee security. And I've been trying to change the wording of lots of documents that are used in government of guaranteeing security and showing that no, we cannot attain complete security and we need to collaborate and work. So there are many things that sometimes we need to lower a threshold and start accepting because we need to move forward. So if you have a government organization that has no budget, then what you can do, and that's the reality of the things. In here, we cannot spend that much money. So if we have a solution that we can use and it helps, and we can monitor it, and we can decide many things, well, that's true. We can go ahead and we should do it. Regarding storage and things like that in the cloud, that's a more complete question. In my specific organization, we use nothing in the cloud, period. Everything is on premise, and we try to continue using that as much as we can in the face of potential danger. But that's the reality. You need to convince them sometimes, and sometimes you just need to act on it. Of course, it will depend on your local legislation rules and how everything works and what level of access you have maybe to politicians or to the leaders of your organization. But I think CrowdSec can speak for itself in that regard, and it makes it easier to implement. I don't know if I'm answering fully. I don't think it's a fully answerable question either. Oh, I replied that in the chat. Yes, CrowdSec definitely can has already. Yes, Philip. CrowdSec has already provided some useful information about Log4j, which is a terrible flaw. But the thing is, that's the current flaw. And even though it's one of the really terrible ones we've seen in the past year, we have vulnerabilities and issues all the time. So when you have a collaborative method to access and detect what is going on, even before a vulnerability is announced, I think the more technology we add, the more maybe artificial intelligence, the more amount of really good data, because bias, we don't want to suffer bias. It will definitely enhance the situation for the world community. So yes, I think CrowdSec will take a really good part in that.
So
No other questions?
Any other questions, Gabor?
Can I take this one?
Well, take whatever you want.
Okay. This is actually one of my questions as ambassador that I posted to the internal development group, trying to leverage the technical capabilities of what CrowdSec is building in its backend. So yes, I was saying, are we only focusing on IP addresses? Can we implement different analysis, other kinds of things? And the answer was, maybe in the future we'll do something about it. And I think it should happen. But I also think that we should focus on building an extremely solid solution today for IP addresses, and then we can start escalating to different methodologies. In the future, this will happen. I don't know if traffic inspection is the exact answer for this, because of a number of the issues around it. But I think they will implement some functionality in the near future.
Well, it all depends on the data source, because basically when something is into CrowdSec is an object, it doesn't really matter what it is. So it can be an IP, it can be literally anything that we can put through a scenario to and assess using that scenario. So as Juanso says, yes, now it's IPs, but it can be anything, and it all depends on the data source. So in the future, of course, we'll use the engine for something else. But what exactly it is, we don't know, obviously.
If anyone has any ideas, feel free to reach out at an issue on the GitHub repo, and let's start building it. Because even though CrowdSec has a company behind it, it's using the community. So we should all ask for what we want and be involved in it. And that's how we drive development today.
Okay, hi guys, this is Gabor. It seems that we do not have any questions left. So let's give it maybe 30 seconds to see if something else comes in. Otherwise, we will close the webinar. In any case, we hope that it was helpful and answered some of the questions you might have on the CrowdSec product.
Well, there are some questions that is unclear whether they have been answered or not. There's a question to Juanso about how it deals with government institutions and the concerns regarding sharing any data to third party. You didn't answer that, did you?
Let me pull up that question.
Juanso? Yeah.
Oh well. That was the other question related to sharing with government. Well, yeah, I will not mention the company that's in the question because I'm not a fan. I've been involved with open source since 1994. It's true. It's a concern sharing data, but the thing is, what data are we actually sharing? We're not sharing, files or documents and stuff. We're sharing requests that arrive in publicly accessible logs. So it shouldn't be an issue. And if you cannot convince and make your chiefs, your bosses above understand that, well, maybe you need to have other bosses. No, but I don't think it's so complicated for what CrowdSec does. So it should be easy. It should be easy. It's not a huge problem. And in any case, as I was saying, we've been using other tools that parse logs and send information for a long time. And maybe the problems usually arise with other kinds of information, other kinds of companies, other kinds of services that sell data, things like that. But I'm not worried in this case.
Cool. Gabor, there is a question about the business model. How do you guys sell the threat intelligence to third parties? What's the business model of CrowdSec? Could you elaborate on that, please?
I think that Philippe answered that question. It was one of the first answers that Philippe provided, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Just didn't look answered.
But yeah, just to be very clear, if it was not the case before, we have a free community edition and it's going to remain free. We don't necessarily need money. Right now, we have a lot of investment money coming in, so we are very much independent and we intend to remain so. So all the, let's say, the intrusion prevention system part and the intrusion detection solution part will always remain free, open source. It's never going to change. As Philippe mentioned, it's an MIT license, so never go. It will always remain free. That being said, it's true that at some point we need to eat and drink and pay the bills. So we will roll out some premium features for enterprises who might have very specific needs around multi-tenancy, fleet management. So basically some services on the top of our free model. And this is what is going to generate value and money for us. But again, the core part of CrowdSec will always remain free and open source. And this is something that is carved into the stone as such. And we have a very firm, very strong commitment to this.
Cool. I just answered a question about if traffic can be proactively blocked before it hits the application in some way. But we have no plan for that. As far as I know, there aren't any more questions, or am I wrong?
No, I think that's pretty much all. So I suggest we close the call. So again, big thank you to Guanzo and to all the people who connected to the webinar and engaged with us. It's the first time we are doing this, and we intend to do it at least once a month. Community is the paramount of CrowdSec, so we need to have a very strong link and engagement to you people. So this is an exercise that we're going to do very often. And also thank you very much for answering the poll. There is a clear result, clear trend towards Discord. So we now have the mission of deploying a Discord to help you people being more engaged with CrowdSec. So thank you very much. Thank you very much to all. Thank you very much, Arturo, and see you in a couple of weeks. So thank you and bye bye.
All right. So send me a mail if there's any questions or anything you want to ask. My mail is always open. But see you later.